Hey everybody, it's Joey back with Bosse Online. We're going to talk a little bit more about chord progressions and also how we use voicings and inversions within that context. So for our purposes today, we're going to be using what we call a 1-6-4-5 chord progression. Super common in contemporary music and pop music. If you're ever trying to write a song, this is a great place to start. Can't go wrong. So we're going to be working within the key of C again for today. So C again uses all of our white keys. If we remember kind of talking about that idea of different scale degrees, that's how we kind of calculate that 1-6-4-5, right? So we have C, C being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So A is our 6, down to 4, F is our 4, up 1 from 4 to 5, that's our G. So we have our C chord. Remember, every chord triad is going to be 1, 3, 5 if we're working within root position. So that's our C chord in root position. Then we find our 6th scale degree, that's our A. So 1, 3, 5, again in root position. Then we find our 4th scale degree, F. 1, 3, 5. And then our 5th scale degree, G, right? So that's the C, A minor, F, and G all in what we call root position. But then you've heard of this idea of voicings and potentially this idea of voice leading. The idea of that is as we're moving between chords in a sequence, we don't want to feel like we have these massive jumps, right? If I'm going from C in root position all the way up to A, say you're, arranging this for a choir, it doesn't make any sense for people to jump up that high and low between notes, especially when we have those notes way closer to each other than what we're giving them credit for, right? So if we're going to start, we'll start with C in root position, right? And if we look at what we have as our common tones, our shared tones between that C chord and that A minor chord, what we notice is that both chords use a C and an E, right? So because those are our common tones, our shared tones, we can see, okay, well, in that case, which note is switching? Well, we have G with our 5 for that first C chord, and then we have A with our 1 for that A minor chord. So G and A, those are only one note apart, right? So what we can do is instead of moving all the way up to A, we can just keep the same C and E that we were playing, because remember, those are shared between both chords, and move our pinky up to play that A, right? And suddenly, could potentially switch that to a 1-2-5 just to make that spacing a little bit better. And then after that, okay, we're going to our F chord. Well, look at that. We're already in prime position for our F chord because F has 2 shared tones between A minor. We have the A and the C, and all we're changing is an E to, would you look at that? We have an F right there. So it works out perfectly. Then from that F, if we want to switch to our G chord, we have a few different ways we could sort of do that. But the easiest way, in my opinion, is going to be just bringing all those notes up just by 1. Right? Because we know our F is 1 whole step below our G chord. And would you look at that? We go from doing this, float up a little bit there, to doing this. Right? Way closer. My hand was able to pretty much stay in about that C position for the whole sequence, making your job a lot easier. There you go.